Tonight, fears a shortage of volunteer paramedics could be the difference between life and death for Mid-North residents. And one association looks to increase female representation across the state's council chambers.
This is Southern Cross News with Fraser Goldsworthy.
Good evening. The SA Ambulance Service is experiencing a volunteer crisis in the Mid-North. It's struggling to fill the weekly roster due to a shortage of workers, with fears it could cause life-threatening delays for patients.
The Port Broughton Ambulance Station is almost at breaking point.
Areas that can't be covered because there's not insufficient volunteers to fill the roster.
Patients are reportedly having to wait up to 40 minutes for an ambulance to arrive.
If they ring an ambulance, they may have to come from out of town. So for Broughton, that might mean Port Pirie or Wallaroo.
Doctors say the lengthy wait could potentially mean the difference between life and death.
Some cases can't afford to wait, but if there's no ambulance in the town, then there's no choice.
Today, Port Broughton only has 2 full crews working 2 12-hour shifts.
It's just declined to the point where it's actually unusual that we do have an ambulance in town.
Locals are being encouraged to take the step and become an SA Ambulance volunteer to help the community in a time of need.
Fully trained staff, it's going to take about 18 months for them to complete their training.
David Place from SA Ambulance says it's providing more flexible entry and training options to make volunteering more sustainable, including a new recruitment campaign and streamlining the induction process. The Workers' Union is currently in discussions with the state government to fill the roster gap too.
We got the outgoing government to recognise that it couldn't keep going like it was, and we're pretty confident we can convince the incoming government of the same thing.
It's hoped paramedics will eventually be placed in rural communities to help support the volunteers. Rachel Nell, Southern Cross News.
Police are calling on anyone with information about an arson attack on a car in Port Lincoln to come forward. Just after 1 o'clock this morning, emergency crews were called to Hague Street to find the Holden Commodore fully alight. Firefighters managed to stop the blaze from spreading, but the sedan was completely destroyed. The Whyalla Steelworks has taken its first step towards becoming an exporter, with its first slabs leaving for the UK. If the trial is successful, the company says it could be the beginning of a new business opportunity for Whyalla.
Diversification is a key word for Whyalla at the moment, and the local steelworks is doing just that. History was made last week as the first slabs of Whyalla steel was shipped overseas. The 24,000-tonne trial order is being hailed as the beginning of a new era.
The fact that we've got a slab caster that we can produce slabs and the slabs can be converted into hot rolled coil is a big benefit for us.
It's headed for GFG's Newport Steelworks in Wales, where it'll be transformed into industrial products. Liberty, Cymec Mining and 3 other contractors all joined forces. The next step for the steelworks is determining how the product fares on its 45-day voyage to the UK.
We're working as a team within the GFG Alliance, so it's important for us to actually get the product from our caster delivered successfully.
It's one small step, but it forms part of new owner Sanjeev Gupta's plans. Steel production is set to ramp up to around 1.2 million tonnes per year as the company looks to crack new markets and boost productivity.
They always say that they prefer to make steel than to sit around and doing nothing. Increase the utilisation of the equipment, that is something that is appreciated by everybody on the plant.
John Hunt, Southern Cross News.
The elevation of Stephen Marshall to Premier has been welcomed by the member for Flinders, Peter Treloar. Mr Treloar was comfortably re-elected in the seat of Flinders, securing 68% of the primary vote and 76% of the two-party preferred. He's looking forward to finally being in government after 16 years of opposition.
Issues like a deep sea port certainly will be able to have more of a seat at the table in regard to big infrastructure developments and of course roads, John.
Mr Treloar was opposition whip in the last parliament, but says he's yet to find out what his role will be over the next 4 years. A man is in a critical condition after a brawl outside a pub in Broken Hill. The fight broke out on Sunday night in what was a busy weekend for police across town.
A nasty end to a weekend in Broken Hill. Police say a group of men approached another 4 men at the corner of Oxide and Thomas Street when a fight broke out. During the brawl, the 34-year-old was struck in the head and knocked unconscious. He was flown to the RAH in a critical condition.
We have charged one man with a fray and interviewed a number of other persons, and our investigations are continuing.
Police are encouraging any witness of the fight to come forward. The incident brought an end to what was a relatively well-behaved weekend in the city up to that point. The majority of the St Pat's racegoers were responsible.
Very few problems out there. Did isolated incidents. One gentleman decided to take his gear off and subsequently will receive a future court attendance notice for obscene exposure.
On the roads, it seems some motorists are still not getting the message about drink and drug driving.
Every police vehicle is a random breath testing station and a random drug testing station. If you're using drugs and you're driving, you're using alcohol and driving, chances of getting caught are getting higher and higher.
Police say they did report positive drink and drug tests across the weekend, and it's disappointing that locals are continuing to make the silly decision to get behind the wheel.
The reason we have these laws in place, the reason we enforce them is to make our roads safer.
Patrick Reinke, Southern Cross News.
Stay with us after the break. A new wig library opens its doors in the Mid-North. The story next. An operation to replace hundreds of asbestos water main pipes in Port Augusta's CBD is set to get underway this week. SA Water is rolling out the multi-million-dollar investment to replace the tired and leaky infrastructure.
Under these local roads lies 610 metres of problematic pipes. It's a project SA Water plans to fix.
We're at a point where they're disrupting service to customers.
The project is part of a $137 million plan to replace nearly 4,000 kilometres of pipes across the state over the next 4 years. In Port Augusta, new PVC pipes will be laid under Commercial Road and along Chapel and Gibson Streets to the Wharflands Esplanade.
The mains that we're replacing, we've had a number of breaks and leaks on those mains over the past few years. I think there's been about 11 over the past 5 years.
For business owners on Commercial Road, the works will take place at night in order to minimise disruption.
You know, focusing on working with our customers and minimising disruption both in the long term in terms of water supply and in the short term while we're undertaking the construction work is a number one priority for us.
SA Water expects to finish the works in 9 weeks. Amelia Simpson, Southern Cross News.
2 Broken Hill mining companies have uncovered more deposits of the mineral cobalt. They've recorded a 23% jump in the amount of the mineral to be mined. Its expected production will begin at the end of 2021. A unique wig library designed to cater for women suffering from cancer has opened in the Mid-North. It's hoped it'll save patients from the hassle of travelling to Adelaide to gain a little more confidence.
Giving regional women the support they need. Soroptimus International has opened up the Mid-North's very first wig library in Jamestown, where local women suffering from cancer can find all of their beauty needs.
The last thing you want to do is travel to Adelaide just to get a wig or after you've just had treatment.
For just $25, women can choose from 17 different wigs, including a wide range of different hairstyles and colours. Hairdressers in Jamestown are also lending a helping hand, offering to fit every client's wig as a part of the service.
Because we have a lot of women in the district that may need a wig at certain times in their lives, and now they don't have to go to Adelaide for it, they can come here and be fitted.
Buying a wig outright in Adelaide will set a client back nearly $500 and is often not refundable. But here, clients can swap looks until they have found the perfect wig.
When they're actually in the middle of an illness, and quite often they don't really know what they want and just get anything.
A care package comes with the wig too. It includes a special shampoo, conditioner, a hairbrush and a lot of other items set to boost confidence levels. The new shop hasn't seen anyone walk through its doors yet, but it's expected business will ramp up in the coming weeks.
The breast care bus has just been through. And so obviously we're going to get a backlog from that.
Rachel Nell, Southern Cross News.
In the news ahead, Broken Hill on the world stage, while the next Hollywood flick could be on the Far West's doorstep. That's next. Well, SA has one of the lowest number of women working across the state's council chambers, and it's a statistic one association wants to change. Port Augusta is set to host an event to encourage more women to run for council.
Port Augusta councillor Fran Painter has lived in the town all her life but never thought she'd be on council.
It's not something that I'd ever envisaged anyway, and I got in.
Only 29.3% of councillors in South Australia are women, the lowest number in Australia.
We're putting quite a bit more effort into it and helping the LGA to increase the numbers of women representatives on councils.
In order to even out the inequality, the local government Women's Association is hosting an event in Port Augusta to help women get on board.
They've said, we'd like to run for council, but, we don't know how to do it, we don't know where to go, we don't know what to do.
The association will run 8 sessions in the region with take-home information and experienced women councillors speaking at the events. Councillor Painter says being on council is just one way of giving back to community.
It's a wonderful way to be able to help people. I mean, even if you can't actually do it yourself, you've usually got the network so that you can put them in the right direction.
The event will kick off on April 20. Amelia Simpson, Southern Cross News.
The Far West has been featured in a new video showcasing New South Wales to the international film industry. It's hoped it'll attract more production companies to choose the Outback for their next big screen flick.
Showcasing some of the most picturesque locations across the state. This promotional clip highlights the variety of potential backdrops across the state for filmmakers on the hunt for their next location. Some of the state's iconic locations take centre stage in this 3-minute clip.
What we've been saying all of this time is how beautiful the landscape is here and it can stand up against the best of what New South Wales can offer.
But from our region, the Pinnacles and Broken Hill's wide skyline, as well as swooping shots from over Silverton.
You only have to look at some of the classic and iconic films that have been made here over the years to see what's on offer.
And what's on offer is a harsh, barren landscape that Jason says could easily double for the Middle East.
There's a lot of scope. Like just last year, there was a team out here shooting Broken Hills, Afghanistan. So, that's one example of how it could be something other than the Australian outback.
The climate is also a big positive.
I think a lot of the traditional virtues of Broken Hill as a location too, I think people will be reminded of the reliability of the climate, the fact that we have very reliable periods of clear weather, the clear skies, the availability of people who know where the locations are.
Multiple filmmakers have already expressed interest in shooting around the region in the future. Patrick Reinke, Southern Cross News.
Turning to sport now, and it was grand final time in Whyalla and Port Pirie basketball over the weekend. In the Port Pirie Women's, the Pacers won the premiership in a heart-stopping last-minute win over the Globetrotters. John Hunt joins us with more. John, what a thriller.
Certainly was, Fraser. Some clutch plays were the difference in the contest, with the Pacers stealing the win. In a seesawing contest, some late points from Kelly Dunkley helped them pit their rivals and take out the flag. The Pacers were down by as much as 6 late in the final term before their stirring fight back. It went down to the final moments, with a 3 from Dunkley helping them steal the title from the minor premiers. In the men's, it was a little more straightforward, with the Pacers too good for the Ducks, leading to a 16-point win. It was grand final time over in Whyalla too. Rapina's men's were too strong for the Wildcats, defeating them 42-26 in an upset win over the ladder leaders. The women's continued their string of surprise results, smashing the Demons by 48 points. Finals in Whyalla baseball now. Indians are the premiers after a comfortable 16-7 win over the Roadrunners. Brandon Gibbs led the way with 12 for the victors. It was also the Whyalla softball grand final, with the Tigers too strong for the Eagles, winning by 7 runs. While in Port Pirie baseball, 2 runs at the bottom of the last innings helped the Tigers snatch a win over the Cats. Tennis in Broken Hill. The forehands were too good for the drop shots. Nathan Crabb and Trevor Grillett led the backhands to a narrow win, and the topspin smashed the smashies. And finally, it was the opening round of the Whyalla Soccer League. Croatia started their title defence off with a win, coming from 1-0 down at half-time to score a 3-1 win over Wanderers. Westlands Lions was postponed due to hot weather. So congratulations to each grand final winning team. There can only be one winner, and it's great reward for 6 months of hard work. Not long left now until the winter sports get going, but for now it's back to you, Fraser.
Thank you, John. John Hunt there. Well, stay with us. After the break, we'll have all the local weather with Amy. And will the Spencer Gulf be warming up as we look towards the weekend, Amy?
Indeed it will, Fraser. With warmer temperatures in store around the Spencer Gulf, I'll have all the details next. Welcome back. Warmer temperatures for most parts today. 28 the top in Port Augusta, 24 in Whyalla, while it was a cooler 22 in Port Lincoln. Meanwhile, temperatures hovered in the low to mid-20s in all other centres. Checking the satellite, and the odd shower in the southeast of the state. However, a high pressure system is continuing to keep skies clear elsewhere. If you're planning to spend some time on the water tomorrow, there will be southeasterly winds shifting southwesterly up to 25 knots. Seas will reach 2 metres and the sun will pop up at 7:22. Taking a look at tomorrow's weather, and slightly warmer conditions will return, with Port Augusta expecting a top of 29. However, it will remain slightly cooler in Port Lincoln and 23. Broken Hill will reach 30, while temperatures will continue to range in the 20s in all other districts. Looking towards the start of the weekend, and temperatures in Port Lincoln will creep up into the low 30s. Similar conditions in Cleve with 33 on Saturday, while the mercury will rise to 35 in Woodner. Further up the Gulf, and similar warm days in Whyalla, 35 on Saturday. Port Augusta can expect a hot 37, while temperatures in Kadina will hover in the low 30s early on the weekend. Warm temperatures will continue also in Port Perry, with temperatures reaching 35 on Saturday. Clare can expect tops in the 30s also, as can Broken Hill, with a sunny 33 expected on Saturday. So Fraser, temperatures are slowly creeping up again around the Spencer Gulf in what's sure to be a warm weekend.
Looking forward to the warmer weekend weather. Thanks, Amy. A look at our top stories now. The SA Ambulance Service is experiencing a volunteer crisis in the Mid-North. It's struggling to fill the weekly roster due to a shortage of workers, with fears it could cause life-threatening delays for patients. Police are calling on anyone with information about an arson attack on a car in Port Lincoln to come forward. Just after 1 o'clock this morning, emergency crews were called to Hague Street to find the Holden Commodore fully alight. And the Whyalla Steelworks has taken its first step towards becoming an exporter, with its first slabs leaving for the UK. If the trial is successful, the company says it could be the beginning of new business opportunities for Whyalla. And that's all from the newsroom for now. Thanks for your company. Just a reminder, if you'd like to stay up to date with us, we're on Facebook and Twitter. You can also send us an email at localnews@sea.com.au. We'll have updates later. Until then, enjoy your evening. Good night.